Hey there, I'm Stitch by Emma. I'm a crochet and knitwear designer, and today I'm just gonna do a really chill, like, knit with me and chat and hang out with like the broad topic of like advice for starting up something creative, whether it's just like a social media page or a business. And I'm no expert. This is just like what I'm gonna call big sister advice, because like I am a big sister and it's like my instinct to like want to help people in this way. I asked people on my Instagram like what they'd want to hear me talk about or what they'd want like tips or advice on, and I'm not going to cover anything specific to like knitting or crocheting. Like I don't really want to talk about like pattern writing or the kinds of yarns that I use or like the creative process. This is going to be more about like just putting yourself out there in general and like navigating stuff online and stuff, because it can be intimidating and scary and hard. And if I'm being honest, I filmed this entire video yesterday, and the more I was thinking about it, like as the day was going on, I was like, oh my god, I didn't talk about this or this or this, and I don't know, I wasn't really happy with how it turned out. And sometimes I think it's better to get like a full draft out of the way and then be like, okay, now let's do the whole thing again, even though I took like 30 minutes out of my day, which is honestly nothing in the grand scheme of things. There's tip number one: drafts are okay. No, I'm kidding, kind of. The project we're gonna be working on while we chat is this sweater that was mentioned in my what I'm gonna knit in the fall and winter video, like 2 videos back. I'll link it at the end of this one, but it's a little floral graphic sweater. I have both the front and the back panel done, so I'm working on the sleeves right now. It's turning out really cute and I'm very excited. And the one other disclaimer before we get started, aside from I'm not an expert, I'm just chatting and talking about my experience with these things, is that I bit my mouth the other day during karaoke. I went to go do karaoke and afterwards I bit my mouth, and the corner of my mouth right here developed a double-edged canker sore. So it hurts to smile, it hurts to eat or drink, and it hurts a little bit less to talk. So if this side of my face looks lopsided or I'm talking funny or just, I don't know, I look like I'm in pain in general, it's because my mouth is burning with the pain of 1,000 suns at the moment. If you get canker sores, you know the struggle. Like my lymph nodes are totally swollen up under my jaw, like trying to fight it. So this whole side of my face just feels like it is being weighed down and in pain. It's a lot, but I'm gonna fight through. This dress I'm wearing also, it's from the Hippie Shake, which I was so bummed to see that they're like going out of business for a little bit. I really loved them, and I couldn't even get anything at their closing sale because by the time I like found out about it and went to sit down and browse their site, everything in my size was sold out that I wanted, which is sad, but I hope they come back. I really do, because I really like them. I mean, like, look at this sleeve. It's actually kind of a sneak peek of the vibe of one of my next videos, which is going to be making an outfit for a Clairo concert. Get excited, get excited! Think like this, but more like medieval maiden, you know, in that way, which is what most 70s fashion seems to be drawing from anyway, so I guess it's just full circle, but still, like, I want you to get the idea in your head so you can get pumped. Okay, now I want to get into like our topic of the day. I have my computer to the side here with little screenshots of the questions that people ask on Instagram, so if I look over to my side, that's what I'm doing. I'm just like looking at my reference sheets, my notes. But the question that was asked the most is like, how do you make successful content? How do you make successful reels? How do you beat the algorithm? And the thing is, I don't know. I have no clue. It's literally all just like throwing shit at a fan and hoping that something sticks. Like literally that's what it is, and that's the truth. And I think anybody who says anything else is lying. Like, to be perfectly honest, because I've been doing this for about 3 years now. And if you were to look back at like my socials throughout the years, there will be weeks, let's take TikTok for example, there will be a couple weeks where like everything will be popping off. Like everything gets at least like 20 to 30,000 views, everybody's engaged, some things will even go up to the millions, and it'll be wonderful. And then after that million, all of a sudden you can't even breach 500 views. And it's nothing that you're doing wrong. It's just that nobody knows how the algorithm works, and only a very, very lucky few people get that consistent push, that consistent pull. Like really, truly, one of the most important things I think to remember and to know about wanting to do social media and like have a creative business over social media is that success and push with the algorithm always comes in ebbs and flows. It comes in seasons and waves, and you never know when that's gonna happen. You don't. And sometimes the highs will be really high and it'll be awesome, but the lows can also be like really low. and it can suck, and it's really important to tell yourself and remind yourself that your worth, your skill, your talent, your value, none of that is based on how much the algorithm pushes you. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. You cannot beat yourself up over it, because in my experience, when I beat myself up over the algorithm, it takes away my love and joy for the craft, and that is so unfortunate. Like, that's not how it should be. I love to crochet, I love to knit, I love to design, I love it. It's literally like my passion. But then all of a sudden I'll see that it didn't get enough views, and I'm like, I'm just not gonna do it today. That, you have to keep pushing. You have to keep going. And the thing is, if you're consistent through the dips and the valleys, then it does pay off. In my experience, in my opinion, it pays off to continue posting. Like, it's just such a bizarre thing, and nobody knows how it works. And like I said, I think people who say that they know how to beat the algorithm and they know how to gain all these followers, they're lying. They are lying, trying to get your bucks, trying to get your money, trying to get you to join their course. They're lying. It's all about you having consistency, authenticity, having true heart and passion in the stuff that you create. Okay, I'm gonna answer one that I can't answer and just get it out of the way. A lot of people asked how to keep your account a secret and how to remain anonymity in this, and that's something I can't help with whatsoever, because I have never ever been one to stay anonymous. Somebody's like, how do you make sure that people in real life don't find your account? I have no idea. Literally everybody that I know knows that I do this. Most of the people in my life follow all of my accounts. I have been posting my face on social media since I started my Tumblr Girl blog when I was 12. Like, this is just something I've always been doing. I've never been camera shy. I've never been worried about people I know in real life, like, finding out about my other online presences. So I don't really know. I feel like I'm just not the right person to ask that question to. I'm sure there are people out there who remain anonymous or don't like to show their face and stuff who could be helpful, but me personally, I'm very big, I'm very bold, I'm very out there all the time. There's not much advice that I can offer in that quadrant. A couple people asked how to plan and execute content, as well as where to focus your growth. When it comes to focusing on growth and where to grow, I think you should focus most on the platform you enjoy the most, because that's the one that is going to have the most heart and soul in it. That's the one that's going to feel less like a chore. And then start up your other platforms that you struggle with more by cross-posting that. That's my personal opinion. I really love making like videos and short little videos of my things and the progress of it, and then those I find are the easiest to like cross post across like YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, you know, and then it just, things kind of fall into place naturally. My biggest tip about planning and executing content, especially when you're doing something creative, you're making art and it's content about your art, is do not let your art become content in your head. I think that was a huge problem for me at first, is that I was viewing everything that I made in terms of how I was going to capture it online, instead of what about it brings me joy in real life, where I'm going to wear it, how I'm going to style it. It was more so, how am I going to make a video of this? How am I going to insert this into a trending audio? Which, don't get me wrong, is definitely something that can help you with like content creation and potentially like getting your stuff seen by more people. But the problem is when you start viewing everything you're making in terms of content instead of in terms of art. I found that to be something that I had to overcome, because I started just pushing stuff out like crazy. I was making too much and I wasn't really liking much of it. I was making stuff constantly for the like idea of, I need something that I can make content of. I need something I can post a video of. I need something. And then it just resulted in me making like a bunch of garbage that I didn't even like, that wasn't even that good. So I guess like my genuine like content creation tip, especially if you're doing like knitting or crocheting like I am, is when you finish something and you need to post something about it, make like 4 different categories of types of posts for it, and then you can spread that out over the course of a week or a couple weeks, depending on how often you post. My categories that I like to do are still photos, so just regular pictures of it, a progress video of making it, so like a more like semi-long form, like a minute, 2-minute videos of the progress of me making that piece, and then a short form video of just being like attention grabby, like, look what I made, and then turn the camera, do a little spin. And then one that you can incorporate into like a trending meme or a trending audio. Those are my 4 categories, and occasionally the 5th one is like a styling video, specifically being like, here's 5 different ways to style the newest knit that I made for my wardrobe. When it comes to like content planning, execution, for me it helps to just get all of those done at once, put them in the drafts, save them to the camera roll, because then I'm just not stressing myself out about, you know, trying to make sure that I have all of these like videos and stuff for these arbitrary made up deadlines that I have in my head for when I have to post. Because it's good to have yourself on a schedule. Fuck, I have like a hair in my mouth from the ceiling fan. If you're trying to gain traction, gain an audience, get some like good stability in your posting schedule, it's good to have like deadlines for yourself. But I also have to remind myself sometimes that like my deadlines are made up. Like, yes, they're important to follow, but also if I'm a day late on posting, like, it's okay. It's okay, it's not the end of the world. A good question was, how do I manage to find the balance between personal and professional when it comes to being self-employed and having like clients versus friends versus like different social media personas? And that's a really good question, because I feel like I'm still figuring it out, if I'm being totally perfectly honest. Something I've always struggled with when it comes to like working jobs where I've been employed has been finding that perfect professional mindset. I've always struggled with feeling like the odd one out, especially in a workplace environment. I've always felt like people don't take me seriously. So I would kind of overcompensate with that, and then the overcompensation would end up turning into like almost an exaggerated version of myself. And then I would end up even less professional than I would be if I wasn't even trying, if that makes any sense. It just like, I always had a very hard time balancing that in a workplace environment where I feel like I'm being compared to a lot of other people by like a boss and stuff. So honestly, being self-employed has made it easier for me to kind of build my persona, just because I feel like I have more time with myself. I have more time to kind of like figure myself out and figure out how I want to communicate with people. I found that the place where I'm least professional is TikTok, for sure. Not to sound cringe, but like I'm a little more goofy, I guess, on TikTok. I don't know. Instagram is very much more curated. It's a lot more planned out. And then TikTok is very much more like, you know, spur of the moment, trying to see what sticks, like I said. And then the things that do stick end up making its way over to Instagram. When it comes to talking to like clients and talking to businesses, it's very important to me that I'm taken seriously, because I am a serious businesswoman. So I find myself speaking very professionally when it comes to talk to like brands or people who might want to do like a serious collaboration, people seeking inquiries about customs and commissions. Like I'm very professional when it comes to those conversations. And then when people reach out with questions about like patterns or just questions about crocheting, they're in my DMs or they send me an email, reach out to me on Etsy, I still keep it very professional, but I do think I have more of a colloquial tone when it comes to those conversations. You know, just I want to seem professional, but I also want to seem very personable, because I do want to help people and I do enjoy talking to people, and I don't want to seem like somebody who's rigid with a stick up my butt, you know? Like I want to be very like open and friendly and open to conversation, and sometimes even open to friendship when it's other like people who are doing the same thing that I'm doing reaching out, which kind of leads into some of the next questions that people ask about, like how do you build a community online? How do you like find people? And my advice is always is to like engage, comment on people's stuff. If you think something's cute, tell them. Like, tell them. Don't hold back. I know it's like easier said than done, but like I'm a big proponent for like swiping up on people's stories and just like telling them if you think they look pretty, or telling them if you like their design, you know? I do it all the time. Sometimes it sticks and it opens a conversation and then you have a new friend, and sometimes they don't respond and you move on and it's not the end of the world, you know? I've made some friends in the community by simply like swiping up on their stories on occasion, or like asking them a question, or sometimes they've done that to me and then like a conversation sparks and I'm like, oh my god, a friend. And some of these people like I talk to often. Honestly, it's just like real life. If you were to go to a bar and just speak to random people, sometimes, you know, you make a friend out of it, and sometimes you tell a girl that you like her top in the bathroom and then you never see her again, and that's the end of it. but I feel like the stakes feel so much higher because there is like evidence of communication. You know, you can look back and see that it was read and be like, fuck. But whatever. It's a lot of getting over the barrier of like being nervous and being shy. I think it's important once you get like a community following you or supporting you to engage, answer questions when you can, but also it's important to know boundaries, set your boundaries. That's something that I think I struggled with a little bit. I feel like I was very, very open in the beginning, like responding to every single message, responding to every single comment, and then comments started to get a little weird. And I don't think I was expecting things to get really weird, where people started making inappropriate comments about my body or like really rude comments about my designs or my face, just like things that people were very comfortable with saying, things that were extremely inappropriate to me. And that's where my advice is, you are allowed to use the block button. You are allowed to use the block and delete button, which is something that for some reason I always thought that like I shouldn't do that. I was like, no, everybody has their own opinion. But the thing is, some things aren't opinions. Some things are not conversation starters. Some things are not genuine constructive criticism. Some things are just cruel. I posted a reel on YouTube Shorts recently, and it was just like saying something about like, check out my new pattern, blah, blah, blah. And the first comment was somebody saying, yeah, and women want us to believe that they're not a sexual object. I was like, oh my god. I was like, excuse me? Deleted and blocked immediately. One of the things I've learned is that it is important to protect your peace to an extent, because people do think that they can say whatever the hell they want. They can send cruel DMs, they can say horrible things, and you can't control it except for the block button. So if people are horrible, block them. Like, seriously, just do it. Protect yourself. This one is definitely coming from like the big sister point of view, the big sister perspective. But if you're going to be doing this full time, if social media or like self-employment, creative things becomes your full-time job, you need to have a support system of people that you can talk to about like things that are hard and when it gets hard and if you're struggling. Because I have found myself bottling things up, being incredibly stressed, incredibly overwhelmed, and feeling like I can't talk to anybody about these things because what I do is quite isolating at the end of the day. And I found that a lot of people don't take it totally seriously. Like I said previously, that I feel like some people brush it off as being super easy and super like no big deal. And trust me, some parts are very easy. The TikTok part, if I could just do TikTok, oh my god, easiest job in the world. However, I don't just do TikTok, and there is like the business aspect of this too, with having, you know, multiple websites and lots of products and creation and selling and dealing with customers who are not always the kindest, and it can be hard sometimes, and it can be tiring, and it can be draining, and you need to have somebody you can talk to about that, who's going to genuinely listen, genuinely like just be there for you, whether it's another person who does what you do and they can totally understand, or like a friend, a partner, a parent. I sound so big sister right now. I sound so like mom, but you really do. You need to have somebody you can talk to, and somebody who is going to listen and validate you, because I don't know, it can be hard sometimes, especially when you're doing this totally on your own. Like, I'm so scared so often because I'm like, I don't know how I got myself in this situation. I don't totally know what I'm doing. Like, I did not imagine that I would actually find success in this. I thought this was going to be somewhat of like a little side gig until I could find a job. I didn't think it was actually going to become my job, and I'm so glad it did, because I'm having a great time. But it can also be really scary. It can be scary to feel like you're totally on your own, and it's important to be able to talk about that and have people who are willing to help you and will be there for you. Kind of off topic of like advice, but just like on that topic, I just feel like it's been so bizarre doing a creative, non-traditional career path for the past couple years, just because like you don't really know if you're going to make it. You don't know if it's going to become something that's going to feel stable. You don't know if you're just kind of be floating. And then when you hit a point where you're like, oh my god, wait, like I'm having consistent growth, I'm having consistent success, this feels great, you would like in my head, I thought that I would feel like something click. Something is going to click and be like, okay, I did it. Like, I can just sit back and relax and live my life. But like, I don't feel that. I never felt that feeling of just like the click, the security. And even though I feel like I should, I don't, which is normal. And I have to tell myself that that's normal. I'm not going to feel like I have it all figured out. I'm 24 years old. I have my whole life. This could go for a few more years and I could find something else I want to do, or I could continue to pop off and cool opportunities could come to me. I have no clue. I have no idea. And it's really scary, but it's also really exciting and really fun. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This has just been, it's been a very weird year. So much has changed for me in this year in ways that like I couldn't even imagine. And I don't think I fully have processed it yet, if that makes sense. I don't know. Back to advice. I'm gonna leave you with some very corny advice, which is whatever content you create, whatever creative art you create, whatever you share with the world when you put yourself out there, be authentic. Be authentically you. And yes, you're probably going to have to latch on to like trends to gain some traction. It's fine. That's fine. That doesn't mean it's not authentic. But to be cringe is to be free, but make sure you are being authentically cringe. I feel like it took me a while to figure out how to actually like be myself in front of the camera, to put myself into my art and my work, to find, I don't know, like I said, I'm evolving and growing, as is everybody, and who I am now might not be who I am a year, 2, 3 years from now, but right now I'm very confident in the fact that I am being authentically me, and I'm only doing things that I want to do, that I'm putting my heart into. And I think that that reflects itself in the way I present myself on social media, in the content I'm creating, in the way that I dress, in the way that I interact with others in real life. I think it's so important to not get lost and caught up in the idea of numbers and algorithms and the amount of output that you're putting into, whether it's in the stuff you're making or the content or the posts or the engagement or whatever. Just, I think it's so important to just remember why you're doing it, why you love it. And I also think it's important that if you realize that you don't love it anymore, God forbid, if something happens and you realize like, maybe this isn't for me, maybe this isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, you don't have to keep up with it. You don't have to. You really don't have to. Do not force yourself to do anything that you don't want to do. And if you think like you're super overwhelmed by it and you've burnt yourself out, you've made these deadlines for yourself and you just don't want to do it for a little bit, it's okay to take a break. It is so okay to take a break. There are times looking back where I wish I allowed myself to take more of a break because I just became so burnt out and depressed, and it wasn't right. And you shouldn't have to do that to yourself in the name of something that you love. What you love should make you happy. And if you find that it's really, really not making you happy, take a step away, take a breath. I think that's very important and very healthy. We've made some nice progress on this sleeve. I'm hoping to get this sweater done by next week because it's supposed to cool down over here in Chicago, so it'll be nice and maybe I can actually wear something warm and cozy outside. How exciting. It's supposed to rain. We're in like a drought here right now too, but God, this is really cute. I'm really, really excited to wear this. I'm using Hobby Friends wool held with Hobby Diablo. So it's pretty soft, it's fluffy, and I'm probably gonna brush out the flower a little bit when it's done to add a little bit of like dimension. I'm also gonna maybe duplicate knit / embroider some darker like black mohair for some extra dimension as well. But that's some of my big sister advice for just kind of like keeping true to yourself and staying sane while running an online business or anything creative, or just putting yourself out there, because like I said, it can be really scary and really intimidating. And you know, sometimes I just wish I had somebody to kind of like lead me through it, because like I said, also I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm riding the wave. I'm trying to figure things out one day at a time. Maybe I'll know for sure, but I highly doubt it. If you would like to check out some of my patterns, I have those available on my Etsy and my website. And if you would also like to check out some of my pieces that I'm selling currently, I have those listed on my website as well. I will see you in the next video, which will hopefully be making my outfit for Claro. So that'll be really cute and fun. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.